Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so yesterday we finished normalizations concept, right? Normalizations and all. So we are left over with ER diagrams. Yesterday I shown you just how to open the ER diagrams. But once again, I will explain what is ER diagrams, how we can open or how we can access ER diagrams. Uh, basically if we want to see the ear diagrams, how we can access, how we can open that, we will discuss that, but not today. Okay, today we will start a new concept called as subqueries. Maybe we will discuss about ear diagrams later, maybe on Monday. Okay, I won't skip that, I won't forget that, but let's just start a new concept. Is that fine?
Yeah, Divya.
Great, let's see subqueries today. Actually, let's start a new concept, subqueries. So today we are starting a new concept, that is subqueries. Subqueries is nothing but, I can say, query within a query. If we write a query inside the another query, then we can call it as the concept called as subqueries. Or else if I write some technical definition for that, I can say, so as I said, subqueries in the sense query within a query. So far we saw about all the concepts where we will write a single SQL statement, right? Whether it is joins, group by clauses, having clauses, whatever clauses, operators, everything, whatever we solved till now, we used we solved or we written the syntax in a one single select statement. Correct. Now we are going to learn about a concept called as subqueries. In that, what it happens, we will write two queries, like we will write one query within another query. If I want to if tell the technical definition of subquery, it will be like, if a query is nested in another query, if a query is nested in another query to retrieve the results, that query, I'm saying query within a query. Okay, we will write one query, and within that one query we will write another query. And the technical definition is, if a query is nested in the sense, again, if we kept one query inside the another query to retrieve the results, then that query is called as subquery. Let's see some examples, then you can understand. Guys, I didn't got time to upload the normalizations notes. I'll do that today or tomorrow. Okay. So yeah, this is a technical definition of subquery. If a query is nested in another query to retrieve the results, I mean to get any results according to the, maybe requirements or according to the questions, if we use a one query inside another query, then that query, that means whatever query we are writing inside that query is called as subquery. Let's see some examples, then you can understand easily. Before that, I can say we have two paths in subqueries. Okay, that is a subquery contains two paths. One is inner query and the second one is called as outer query. Okay, so this inner query is also called as a subquery. This is what we are going to learn. Okay, outer query is also called as main query. If we solve some examples, you will understand about this. Okay, now let's see any example. So I will say if I want to fetch the employees details or employee data, display the employees details whose salary is maybe than greater than the average salary. So this is my question. I'm saying that display the employees details whose salary is greater than the average salary of all the employees. Okay, this is one question. Now let's see how to solve. Is my audio okay or am I speaking loud?
No, ma'am, it's okay.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So I'm saying that this is my question. We need to solve display the employee details. We have employee table, right? In Durgasoft. Let me just first activate Durgasoft database. Okay. I have employees 2 table here. I will just display the data. Select star from employees 2. So this is my data. I have one table employees 2. In that I have 5 columns, that is employee ID, employee name, date of joining, salary and bonus, and I have 6 rows here. Okay, so now I'm saying I want to display the employee details whose salary is greater than the average salary of all the employees. Okay, basically if you observe this question, we can divide this question into two parts, right? That is display the employee details, maybe up to this. To if we want to display the employee details, we will write select star from employees, right? And then they are giving one condition whose salary is greater than. Okay, if we want to divide this question into two questions, our second question will be, right, like average salary of all the employees. Basically to find average salary of all the employees, what we will use?
Average.
Average aggregate functions, right? So let's try to see that. First let me solve this question, average salary of all the employees. What I will do, I will simply write it as select star, sorry, not star, average, right? So I will write select average of salary from employees to. So to find the average salary of employees, we will use an aggregate function called as average. We know that, we saw that previously, and I will write it as select average salary from employees to. Let me just execute this one. I'm just trying to divide these questions into two parts. My first question is display the employee details and whose salary is greater than, something like that. And the second question is the average salary of all the employees. Now I'm just trying to, solve the second question in the complete question. So if I execute this, select average salary from employees to, I got some result. Almost I got some 57,833. Let me write it here. This is the result. Maybe 57,800. I will write it as 57,800. Okay. This is my average salary, right? Now, in my question, I said display the employee details whose salary is greater than the average salary of all the questions. Now, if I write display the details, employee details, right? So I need to write it as select star from employees to. This will display all the details of the employees, correct? And what condition we are asking, whose salary is greater than the average salary. So for that, obviously we will use where clause. To write the conditions, we will use where clause. So I can say where salary is greater than, right? Greater than 57,800. Okay. This is my question. I'm saying display the employee details whose salary is greater than the average salary of all the employees. I divided this question into two parts. First, I found the average salary of all the employees. I got this output. Okay. Now I wrote select star from employees to where salary greater than 57,800. Okay, let me just execute this one. I got some data. I got some employees details. If we see in the salary is for this employee names, the salary is greater than this average salary, right? 58, 75, 70. Correct? I got the answer of my question. Okay. But this is not the correct way of writing or solving this question, because for now I have the data like this. For now, currently, now my employees to data set is like this, but in real time what it happens, the data will change going forward. It won't be, it won't be static, correct? If any new employees come and join our company, then the new salary, one more row will be added, new salary will be added. If like that, some salaries or some rows, some values of the salary is added, in the sense that will affect our average salary, correct? In the same way, for the existing employees also, maybe going forward, any of the employee salary will maybe increase due to their any of the reasons, right? Basically, the salary or any column in the real time, the data won't be as it is. It will change, correct? So for that reason, we are not supposed to do like this. If I am, if I am trying to find the average salary, now I got this one. And if I am trying to write or solve like this, for now, what I got, the details, that is correct, but it is just for now. Maybe after 1 week or after, whenever the data changes, it won't work, right? This won't work, correct? Whenever new employees or whenever the data changes, the average will also get changed, correct? Then the answer or this average will be changed. So according to that average, if we write like this, whatever output we will get, all that data will become wrong, right? So we need to write the query in a dynamic way. If we write like this, we can call it as a static way, this one. we are not supposed to write like this in real time. We should write the queries in a dynamic way so that whenever the data changes also, it should not affect this queries. Correct? Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
So now we need to write the query in a dynamic way. So let's see, let's make this question, let's make this query in the dynamic. Let's try to write some dynamic query here. So instead of using the values like this, what I need to do,
Directly, ma'am, we can write select average salary from employees too.
correct. So that is what I will do. Display the employee details whose salary is greater than average salary of all the employees. So now to make it average, what I will do, instead of this 47,800, I will write it as, suppose if I write average of salary, it won't works, right? I am not supposed to write like this. If I write select star from employees where salary greater than average of salary, and if I write like this and if I execute, it will definitely throw me an error. Sorry. So why it will throw error? Any guesses? We already saw this concept. If I write query like this, what kind of error I will get?
Ambiguous error, ma'am.
See, it's not ambiguous. Invalid use of group function. In groups, whenever we are studying group by clause, we saw whenever we use aggregate functions, we need to use the having clause, not group by clause, and we need to group the data first, and then we need to use the having clause, because where clause works in row level only. Correct? So in for that reason, I'm not supposed to use like this also. Okay, I'm just trying to explain it in the all the possible ways so that you can able to relate it with the other concepts. That's the reason I wrote here. Now, to exactly to solve this question, what I need to do, I need to write a complete statement like select average. Here I'm just copying this. I need to write select average salary from employees too. But I need to keep some parentheses here. I need to write this query within the brackets. Okay. Now what SQL will consider, whatever query we are writing inside the brackets, if we write two select statements in one syntax, whatever we write inside the brackets, that one is considered as a subquery. Okay, and this select statement will consider it as a outer query. As I said, in subqueries we have two queries, right? Inner query and outer query. Inner query is also called as subquery, outer query is also called as main query, right? So this query will become our subquery or inner query, and this query will become our outer query. Now basically what we are doing, we are writing one query inside the another query. Why I'm saying inside? Because I just use the parenthesis over here, right? And this is one query. Because I'm using select command, once again I'm writing this query inside this query. Correct? Now let's execute this. See, again I got the data, and this data is greater than 57,800 only, the same output which we got previously, right? Now, if I write like this, going forward, if my data changes, also no problem, because it will, it will perform the average of the salary. We are not writing hard code values here. We are writing the queries here. So if our another rows, if some other rows added also, it will first execute this query. See, subqueries, how it will work in the sense, first it will go to the SQL will go to the inner query. First, it will execute this one. Okay, and what will be the output? Suppose we will get some output, right? That output will be given as the input to this query. Okay, that means after solving this, I got some 57,800. Correct? This is the value which I got after solving this. First, whenever in subqueries, SQL will first solve the inner query. It will go to the inner query. It will first execute that. Whatever output it get, that output it will give as the input to this query. That means it will give select star from employees where salary greater than 57,800. According to this input, by taking this as input only, it will solve this query. Right? Am I clear?
In the other word, we may call it this as a bottom for the
Uh,
integers.
yeah, maybe correct. So with this, I can conclude one more point here in subqueries. The output of inner query will be given as input to the outer query. Okay. The output of the inner query will be given as input to the outer query. Okay, this is the thing. This is the way of SQL process the subqueries concept. Whatever, whenever we are writing any subqueries, basically, subquery in the sense we can say query within the query only. If I am writing one statement or one SQL query inside the another SQL query, we will call it as the concept, will call it as subqueries. But again, whatever, with the help of which query we are able to answer the main query, that is the inner query, we will consider it this query as the subquery. Okay, that means the inner query is called as subquery and this outer query is called as main query here. Okay, and we have this point here. Whatever output we will get in the inner query, according to that output only we will get the final output. Okay, basically this will be the output of this will be given as input to solve this query or to get the output of the main query. Okay, I hope I'm clear till here. Any doubts?
Clear, ma'am.
Okay, this is the basic understanding of what subquery is actually. Okay, now let's see what are the types of subqueries we have.
Where clause will not work directly on functions. No.
And aggregate functions directly won't work. That is the reason we used another query, right?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
That's the reason. Like previously, if when you saw directly, if I write instead of the complete query, if I write average salary, it won't work. It thrown error saying group functions. You need to first group it, and we need to write. And if we write like that, that will become the normal output, normal previously whatever we saw, like normal SQL queries. See, one important point here is whatever we will solve by using subqueries, all the questions will be solved only by using the joins or normal whatever we learned, normal clauses and operators. Till now, whatever concepts we learned, the main concepts like maybe all the clauses, by using all the clauses and operators we solved some questions. And by using group by clause, having clause, by joins, up to now, however, whatever concepts we learned, all these questions we can solve. Mostly all of the questions will be solved by using, not mostly, 100% all of the questions will be solved by using that concepts also, every question. So there are whatever questions we are going to see in the complete subquery concept, all the questions can be solved without using subqueries also. Okay, in real time we will work depending upon the requirements of the client, right? No one will see which concept we are using, correct? So basically what everyone will do, everyone will, I mean, it's again up to their choice. If anyone feel remaining concept is easy, they will use that concepts also, that concepts only, they won't use. Actually, we are not supposed to use subqueries concept more frequently in real time, because we have one disadvantage with that. the same outputs we can be at the end, I will say that, but for now the same outputs, the same solutions we will get by using joins concept also. But if we use subqueries, the performance will be very, the performance of the SQL will become very low if we use subqueries. We'll have something called as query optimization. It will took lot of time to, execute the to process the query. So basically by using subqueries, the performance of the SQL will, it will damage the performance. The performance will become low. For that reason, as we have performance issues, we won't use subqueries, and we are not supposed to use subqueries a lot in real time. And whatever questions we are solving in subqueries, all that questions can be solved without using subqueries. By using normal concepts we can solve in real time. Anyways, no one is going to see by, by using which concept you solve the problem, right? End of the day, clients or managers, they need the solution. That's it. Whatever you use, you can use. Correct? But in interviews, maybe to check previously, before maybe 6 to 7 years ago, they used to check, they used to give some questions and they used to check just, give the syntax on about this question in subqueries also. Like, so if suppose they ask this question, they will ask to solve this by using subqueries. Nowadays no one is asking like that. They are just giving some real time data and they are asking you to solve. Okay, if we can able to solve by using joins or all the remaining concepts, if we can able to solve this without subqueries also, they are considering. But at least one question we will get in any interview, they will ask to use, if we write a normal query also, they may ask to use subqueries. They will ask, but if we cannot able to answer it also, no one is considering it. I mean, I'm just telling the fact, because at least one way we need to know, one way of that question we can able to answer it in one way, at least one way in the interviews. Okay, just like how we saw about like operators and regular expressions, everything can be solved by using two methods, right? Maybe like some of the questions, of course, in regular expressions we had many other what we call wildcards, anchors maybe. Okay, but whatever we solved by using like operators, all that will be solved by using regular expressions also, right? In the same way, all the questions in the subqueries, without subqueries also we can solve. Okay, so now let's see. And as I said, we will get performance issues by using subqueries. We will I mean, generally whenever we are joining any project also, maybe they will say, try to use subqueries in a very minimal way. Don't use subqueries much, try to use in a very minimal way, because it will affect the client's database performance also. Okay, so let's see types of subqueries. Mainly subqueries are divided into single row, or we can also call it as scalar subquery, single row subquery, or scalar subquery. Next is multi-row subquery, and the next we have correlated subquery. Okay, mainly we have these three types of subqueries. Single row subquery, this is also called as scalar subquery. Let's not talk, I mean, I will just say it as a single row subquery only. Okay, but it is also called a scalar subquery. So we have single row subquery, multi row subquery, and correlated subquery. And again, let's discuss each of these subqueries with the examples. But again, you may also hear that we have something called as non correlated subqueries. Okay, you might have heard about this. So what is non-correlated subquery? I will tell you at the end. But for now, just remember we have three types of subqueries mainly. Okay, basically these two subqueries only can be considered into collectively. If we Single row subqueries and multi-row subqueries, collectively we can consider it as non-correlated subqueries also. Okay, let's not discuss that for now. First, let's see about these three types. Okay, so first one, as I said, we have single row subquery. So on the name itself, we are understanding that single row subquery, in the sense, in this subquery, single row subquery is a subquery which returns a single value. Okay, it returns a single value. That is, whenever we are solving this single row subquery, it will always display single row and maybe single column. Okay, single row and single column. Whenever we are solving the single row subqueries, the output will be always, it will display single row and single column. Okay, now let's solve an example. Actually, if you can see, the first example is also comes under single row subquery only. That means, let me repeat, previously, if you remember, I said, where is that? Inner query, I mean, the second query is called as a subquery here, correct? This is our main query, this is our subquery. So here I'm talking about the output of, or the result of, this subquery only. I'm not talking about the output of our main query. The the final output will be considered as the output of the main query. Okay, the output of this one will be considered as the output of subquery. Am I clear this point?
Yes, ma'am.
So basically this is called as subquery, this is called as main query, right? The output of this one will be considered as a the subquery output only. Going forward, I will discuss, whenever I'm discussing single row subquery, multi row subquery, correlated subquery, even for the non correlated subquery, if I say the output of the subquery, just only remember, I'm talking about the output of the inner query only, not the outer query. This also, subquery is also called as inner query, right? And main query is also called as outer query, right? So whenever I'm talking, and whenever I'm saying that the result of the subquery, in the sense, just remember, every time I'm talking about the output of the inner query only. Okay, so the final output after executing the final, the syntax, the whatever output we will get, basically that output will be the output of this outer query or main query. Okay, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, single output means single row
Yeah,
value.
yeah, I'll tell.
So, ma'am, in that case, it will be min max salary equals to.
Yes, that's what. Let me tell. So now I'm saying about single row subquery. So I said it returns a single value. Okay, that is, this is in the previous example. This is our subquery. Basically, this complete query will also comes under single row subquery only, because in this subquery the output will be a single value. That is, whenever I execute this one, I got the output as, basically we are trying to find out the average salary. So I got only the output as one value, correct? Right? That is what I wrote here. It returns a single value. Whenever we execute this subquery, if we execute any subquery, if we get it, if it returns a single value, that means if the output is a single value, it is called as single row subquery. As I already also said that it will always display single row and single column. If you can see, we have only single row here and single column here. Basically, we can consider this as a single value, right? So that uh, however, whenever we are querying, whenever we are solving any subqueries, if the subquery is displaying the result as a single value, that subquery is considered as a single row subquery. That means basically when we will get single values, whenever we use aggregate functions, right? All the aggregate functions, correct? It may be sum, it may be minimum, it may be maximum, and it may be count, it may be average, right? We have
Yes.
this many aggregate functions. Whenever we are using aggregate functions, we will get the output as single value only, correct? So I can say whenever I'm using all the aggregate functions in the subquery, all that, you know, subqueries will be considered as single row subqueries only. Okay, I'm repeating. Whenever I'm using aggregate functions in a subquery, I'm telling about the inner query here. Whenever I use aggregate functions in the inner query, this subquery or this complete, okay, subquery only actually. This subquery will call it as single row subquery. Am I right? Am I clear? Here we used average. Okay. This is basically the inner query is called as a subquery. So here the output of the inner query or the subquery is, it is displaying a single value only. Not only average, whenever we use all the aggregate functions, maybe minimum, maximum, count, sum, everything, whatever, when all the aggregate functions, if we use, it will display single values only, right? So at that time, whenever we use aggregate functions in the subquery, that subqueries, this complete subqueries will be considered as the single row subquery. Okay, am I clear? Not only aggregate values, even we will use some expressions or operators which will display output as a single value. So not only aggregate functions, we have this many aggregate functions. This will provide the single value. Not only the aggregate functions, all the expressions, or we can say I have some single valued operators. Okay, that means maybe arithmetic operators, something like, basically we have some operators which we are deal with, deal which whenever we are dealing with that operators, we will get the output as single values only. That operators are something like equals to, greater than, less than, uh, greater than or equals to, okay, less than or equals to, I will explain, okay, just wait, and not equals to, okay. That is, whenever we are comparing any statement with this one, with equals to, in the sense, suppose I wrote here the same thing. Suppose I given some value here. If I say select star from employees where salary greater than, okay. If I'm saying salary, just a second, guys. So if I'm saying salary greater than some value, okay. So in the same way, salary equals to some value, greater than some value, less than some value, greater than or equals to some value, less than or, see, whenever we use all these operators, we will talk about one single value only, correct? Basically this operators, we will call them as a single row operators. Whatever I wrote here, we will call it as single valued operators or single row operators. Okay, so whenever we are using all these operators, and along with that, whenever we are using aggregate operators, we will get the result as single value only. Okay, am I clear? Guys, if there is any confusion, you can ask me.
Please provide one example for this.
Sure,
Operator.
sure, sure, sure. I'll do that.
But I think operating functions will not come under in the subqueries, right? Almost.
Yeah, I'm just saying about whenever we are using this operators. Okay, going forward, we will see some examples. Mostly, we won't use in the as we saw here. If I wrote the operator also, I used aggregate function only here, correct? But again, whenever we are using this operators, it means we will get the output as only one value, right? So in that case, we are just talking about the operators here. This by using this operators, we cannot write any SQL statement completely. But whenever we are writing any SQL statement, it we will compare maybe with these operators, right? Basically, why we will use operators to compare something, right? And when inside the where clause also, whenever we are discussing about the where clauses and operators together, where clause we used to filter the data. Along with the where clause, we used some normal operators, maybe and or, to give some conditions, or basically to to relate the data, like that. Here also we are using this greater than, less than, equals to compare the data. These operators, we will compare the data, but we will use some other queries inside it. Whenever we are using these operators to compare, at that time we will call it as a single row subqueries, like that. I'm not saying that we will use this one inside this subquery. Okay, we will use this to for the comparing purpose, right? Instead of this, we have many operators. If we use that operators, it will considered as a multi-valued subqueries. We will see that. For now, just try to understand this concept. Once we solve some examples, you will understand it. Okay, it's not that we will use this operators inside the subquery, but whenever we are comparing with this operators, we will compare only with the single values, right? Like we saw in this I used aggregate functions and I used greater than to compare with this value, correct? If not aggregate function also, if I wrote something inside this, okay, just imagine if I wrote something inside the inner query, if I got any one value only, then I can compare with this operator, correct? Like that. Did you got my point? Let's see for now, just what do you call, leave this. Just and for now, just understand, whenever we use aggregate functions and whenever you can see any operators in the complete subquery, I mean in the complete query. Okay, in the complete query, whenever we are comparing or whenever we are using this operators, we will consider this subquery as the single valued subquery. Okay, first let's solve some examples on this single value subqueries. So as we saw, previous example will also comes under single row subquery only. And now let's try to solve by using Maven Movies database. So we have payment table, right? I'm just displaying the data from payment table. Select star from payment. I have amount column here, correct? This is basically the amount. Maybe these are all related to the payment details, the transaction details. We have payment ID, customer ID, staff ID. I mean, this customer is paying this much of amount, right? And this staff is collecting this amount, correct? So we know about this. So I'll just close this and let me write the question first. Fetch the data of those transactions whose amount where amount paid is greater than, same question almost, I'm just using another table, average amount. Okay, I'm saying fetch the data of those transactions where amount paid is greater than average amount. See, we have amount column in the payment table. We have some amounts. Each customer ID paid some amount to, basically maybe get this, movies or films, maybe the DVDs. To get the DVDs, each customer paid some amount. So now I'm saying I want to see all the transaction details from the payment table where amount paid by the customer is greater than the average amount. Okay, here it is almost the same example which we saw in the previously. There we used employees table, here we using payment table. Let's try to solve this. So here how I can divide the question, fetch the data of the transactions will be my the first part, where amount paid will be my condition or operator, that is greater than. Up to here they are providing some condition along with that operator. Next they are saying average amount, correct? Basically we will see this into, exactly, if we understand, we will divide this into two questions, but if we see maybe three parts we can understand. The select, fetch the data of the transactions will be like select star from payment, right? From the payment table only we will get all the transactions. I'm saying where amount paid, so I'm using amount greater than, this is by using where clause. I'm writing one condition and I'm giving one column and I'm using one operator to compare. Next I'm saying average amount in the sense, directly again what I will do, I will just open is open a parenthesis and I will write it as a select average amount from payment, right? Here did I mention it or not? Always we need to write subqueries inside parentheses only. Okay, definitely we need to write the subqueries inside the parentheses, that is inside the brackets only we need to write the subqueries. Okay, here also I inside the brackets whatever I write that is considered as a subquery. I used aggregate function again as average amount here, and first my SQL will execute this one, whatever amount I get that will be compared with this amount from this table. Okay, now let me just first execute this one, select average amount from payment. I got some 4.2. Now I need to, let's check the complete details. Here my amount is having greater than 4.2 only, like 4.99579 like that. It is displaying the data. Okay, basically see, according to the question we will write, we will use all the whatever aggregate function we need we will use. But the first point, the main point we need to understand, we will use aggregate functions only whenever we are dealing with the single row subqueries, or else we can say like whenever we are using subqueries, if we use aggregate functions inside the subquery, that subquery is called as a single row subquery, correct? Basically it returns a single value whenever it is the, if the subquery is returning a single value as the output, that that main query or that complete subquery is considered as the single row subquery. Basically, it will be possible with the aggregate functions only. But again, we will use all these single row operators to compare the values whatever generated by this subquery. If we use single row operators to compare the output of the subquery, that also we can consider as a single row subquery, because going forward in multiple row subquery we will use some other operators here. Okay, that is how we will understand the concept here. Am I clear? So far whatever I explained, is that clear for you? Do you have any doubts?
Clear, ma'am.
Okay, so now let me solve one more question here. From the payment table only, find the second highest amount. I'll write it as directly the question. From the payment table, find the second highest amount. Okay, by using subqueries. Okay, see, if I didn't mention by using subqueries, generally how we will find the second highest amount? Guys, please tell me. We solved previously. To get any of the second highest value, what
By using
concept?
limit, Vidya.
Yeah,
See,
limit.
Divya.
No problem. Limit, and along with the limit, what we will use to get the
Uh,
highest?
1
1
comma
comma
1.
1.
Yes, yes, 1 comma 1 we will get
Yeah.
by using I mean, to get the second we will use 1 comma 1. To get the highest amount, what we will use?
I
We need
think
to
limit
use,
1.
no, 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 we need to use order by clause along with the limit clause, right? Then only first we will we'll sort the data in the descending order, then only we will get highest to the lowest. Then to get the second highest one, whatever you said, that is correct. Limit 1 comma 1. If you use 1 comma 1, the first row will be skipped and the second row will be displayed. Correct? Am I right? Basically, we will use order by clause along with the limit clause. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Because directly if I say limit 1 comma 1, it will display, let's see, select star from payment. Limit 1 comma 1 in the sense, if I'm executing these two things. First, I'm executing the complete payment table, and next I'm executing this one. See, the first one is that I just displayed the complete table. In the first row, I have amount 2.99, second row 0.99. If without using order by clause, I directly use limit 1, it will show me the second row here. Have in this table, it will, this limit 1 what it will do, it will just skip the first row, it will display the second row. But whatever I have in the table, that row only it will display. Here I have 0.99, so it displayed 0.99. But if I say highest or lowest, first we need to use order, right? I need to say order by amount, DESC. This amount column I need to first order by, that is I need to sort in the descending order. Then this one, basically in this output, first we will sort it in the descending order, then we will use order by. Correct? If we use like this, I got some 11.99 thing, right? Basically without limit 1 if I use this 2, it will sort my data in the descending order, and then I need to use limit 1, it will give us the second record. Correct? Right? So whenever we saw second highest amount, or so if I say second lowest amount, I won't use DESC. I will sort it in the descending order. Then I will use limit clause. Correct. But this is what I as you said this one, that is I'm satisfied. Okay, you are understanding my concepts and you are remembering something, that is very much satisfied for me. So yes, if we solve, if I don't say by using subqueries, if I say up to here only, like find the second highest amount from payment table, we can even do that by using this one. Correct? Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is what I said previously. Without subqueries also, everything we can do, every question we can solve. But now by using subqueries, how we will solve this in the sense, I'm saying I want to display the second highest amount. Okay, second highest amount. How we will get the highest amount here? Which aggregate function we need to use to
Max.
get max, right? So let me you write it as select first. Sorry, first let me write it as select max of amount from payment. Okay, if I am doing this, I will get the maximum value as 11.99. Whatever maximum value I have, I will get that. Correct? But I am saying I want to display the second highest amount. Okay, second highest amount. Now what I need to do here in the sense, I will write this as my inner query. Okay, basically I will use this two statements two times. I will say where amount, where amount, what I need to write here, less than. I will write this one inside the inner query. Now what it will do basically, as I said till now previously, as I said, whenever we write any subquery, first SQL will execute this one, and then whatever output I get from this, it will be provided as input for this one. Right now what SQL will do, it will just execute select max of amount from the payment. Let me execute this. I got 11.99. Now this 11.99, it will compare, I mean it will compare this one with the 11.99. Here I'm saying select max of amount from payment where amount less than 11.99. If I execute individually, first where clause will do, it will check in the row level data, right? It will go to the first row. If it is satisfying, it's okay. If it is not satisfying, it will go to the second row. Previously we saw that, we know that concept. So here also what SQL will do, first it will execute that. Here it will get 11.9, and let me write it as here. Here my output will be 11.99. Here also, after first it will execute this one. Okay, so it will compare this thing with 11.99. So whenever in the first row it is executing this, here I will get 11.99, right? It will compare 11.99 less than 11.99. Is that true? It is basically equals to. Correct? As this is not less than, it will just leave this data and it will check for the another row. What will be the next max amount? That one. Suppose I have some 10.99 here. Here suppose I don't know, maybe we can have 11 also. Whatever the lowest amount we have, the next lowest amount we have, next I will get that max of amount, that max, that is as the next value, right? Now that value it will compare with this one. As 10.99 is less than 11.99, this condition will satisfy and it will display this one. That means by this it will by by doing this it will display the second highest amount. Am I clear? Let's execute. See 10.99 only, because here we will have 11.99, 10.99, next value is 9.99. I know that because I'm working on this data from long ago. So like that we have, right? That is the reason directly I wrote 10.99. If I have 10 also, if I have 11 also, like that only it will come. Here if I suppose if I have 11 in my data, first it will check for, obviously first it will execute the inner query. it will get this data, then it will go to the outer query and it will compare the outer query output with this 11.99. Whenever it is executing this, first it will get 11.99 only, but whenever it is comparing with this data by using where clause, this condition is not satisfying. So what where clause will do, if the condition is not satisfying, it will just leave that row, it will go to the next row and it will check for the next condition, right? In that, like that, it will again, by leaving all the 11.99s, it will execute once again. It won't consider 11.99. After 11.99, if I have 11, it will just display this one and it will try to compare this 11 with this value. As 11 is less than 11.99, it will display this data for me, and this will become the second highest value. Am I clear, guys?
Yes, I'm clear.
Yeah, this is how we need to write. But again, this is the problem with the subqueries. If we see the output, frankly, I'm being very frank. In the initial days, also, I also felt some a little bit of maybe difficulty, I can say. If I see the syntax, I can understand the concept very easily. But if I see the question to understand what I need to write in, I mean, basically how to write that syntax, it will take some time. With practice only, we can able to do that, right? If I'm writing, after writing, it is really easy to understand, but we should able to write the sequence syntax. We should get idea that what to write here. For that we need some practice. But when comparing to joins, at least we will follow some type of syntax and we will just try to join something by using the common column between them. There we had some particular concept over there, right? Correct. But we don't follow any particular concept here. We need to understand the logic and we need to write. Okay. But again, as I said, in real time, as see, you can only observe every row. It need to check and it need to display. It will take lot of time. We will get lot of performance issues by using subqueries. That is the reason we won't prefer using subqueries a lot. Okay. But again, we need to learn uh, as much as I can. I'm trying to explain it very clearly only. But practice some questions slowly, you can able to solve these questions also. Okay. In or else in interviews also, whenever, first of all, I suggest you, whenever they ask some questions like this, first, without giving them choice, just try to answer them by using, if you are comfortable with joins or normal or group by clause having clauses, just try to answer them by using that one. Then at least they will come to know that okay, you have some concept, some knowledge in that. And then if they ask you to solve you by using subqueries, then only try to solve. Okay, this is my just suggestion if anyone is feeling difficulty in solving subqueries. But again, with some practice, there are many websites, practice some questions, you will able to do that. Okay. And we are almost done with the time. If it is clear, let's end, and we have class tomorrow. Saturday also we have class. Please attend the class. Okay. Guys, I hope it is clear for you. Next example, or next what is the type, multi-row subqueries, we will discuss in the tomorrow class. Okay. Guys, please respond.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
All right. I know it is Saturday, but please attend. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, Divya, are you going to upload videos today?
Which video?
I mean, recording videos.
Basically, admin team will upload. They will upload it tomorrow only, I guess. Today videos, right? You are talking about today video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they will upload tomorrow. They won't be available now. Okay. All right, guys. Let's meet in tomorrow's class. It's already very late. I have another batch.